As summer comes to an end and fall begins, I'm beginning to think about everything I learned over the season and what I can do differently next year. I've been preparing my garden for fall, planting more cold-hardy vegetables and nurturing my squashes that take so long to grow. I cleaned out my greenhouse and added 2 hoop houses to the garden so that I can extend my grow season throughout winter. Instead of PVC pipe, which breaks down over time from UV light, I decided to use electrical metal conduit. We used a 6-foot metal bender from Bootstrap Farmer, but after attempting to bend our first hoop, we realized it was not the right size. So I returned that one and got a 4-foot bender from Johnny's Seeds. This was a little hard to use because we had to attach it to something, and the only thing we had to attach it to was a wooden work table from my greenhouse. It was not very stable, but luckily we had some help from my brother-in-law who happened to be visiting that weekend. Once the hoops were up, I stabilized it with some red cedar strips and zip ties. Then I covered it with some shade cloth to help protect some of these seedlings from the hot sun. At the end of the season, when the temperatures cool and winter approaches, I will replace the shade cloth with poly.
Okay.
I also purchased more seeds as well as some cover crop like hairy vetch and red clover to get my beds ready for winter. These cover crops do well in winter and withstand the cold temperatures, even continuing to grow well into spring, so that when the next grow season begins, I can cut that down and prepare my beds for planting. Throughout winter, the ground cover will protect and nourish my soil. I've been taking my notes of what I want to do differently next year, what worked and what didn't work, as well as new things I came across later in the season that I want to try. I plan on ordering my fruit trees early next season so that I don't miss out again. I also plan on using the Jadam Korean methods for regenerative farming, using the homemade organic microbial fertilizers and pesticides, and adding more plant matter to the soil. I learned that I need to cover my soil in order to protect it and have more plant diversity in the garden. So I'll be expanding and filling out my garden next season, as I had always planned to do. I also learned that I need to start my herbs, radishes, and brassicas much earlier in the season. I'll be growing less tomatoes and cucumbers in the future and add more varieties of greens and herbs, including medicinal ones. Gardening takes a lot of patience, and you have to keep an open mind, not get too attached to the outcomes. There are always things out of your control, such as the weather and the elements. Whether that's too much rain, too little rain, high humidity, unseasonal frost, or droughts. It forces you to adapt, to go with the flow and think creatively about how you can best help plants thrive. That's why I feel that gardening is more like being a steward of the earth. Nurturing and caring for plants, being their protector, their guardian, so that they can reach their full potential. And when they do, you feel just as much joy and deep fulfillment as the plants do. You helped them come here and do what they were supposed to do on this planet. And in return, they support us by providing us with nutrients and minerals that we too need in order to thrive. It's a beautiful marriage and dance, one that I am happy to be a part of. Our farm truck stopped working, and it was a bit of trial and error trying to figure out what was wrong with it. A few mechanic friends gave us a few suggestions, one of which was the fuel pump. We purchased our truck, Big Bertha, from my brother-in-law shortly after we moved into our homestead. She's been a lifesaver around here, so we wanted to make sure that we kept her going. With much needed help from family, we managed to change the fuel pump. In order to more easily access it, we cut into the floor bed of the truck. Not the responsible way to get the job done, but we were on standby in case something went wrong. In just a few hours, Big Bertha was running again. We took her for a spin, but she was sputtering and even died on us again. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that Big Bertha will live to see another day. As the season changes and the temperatures get a little cooler, it's been hard to stay indoors. This is the time of year when the leaves begin to change color and fall to the ground. when you just want to sit by the fire and watch the sky turn from day to night. As the autumn equinox approaches, I'm enjoying the shift in energy and can't wait for the next season to begin.